Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to Moscow, and welcome to the largest truck and commercial vehicle expo in all of Russia. This is CTT Expo, and I thought we'd go have a look around and have a look at some trucks and some big machinery. If you're wondering where I am making this video, this is a place called CTT Expo Center. It is by far the biggest expo center in Russia, and they have an incredibly large expo being held over 4 days. And I'm just going to cover the truck and commercial vehicle part of it in this video because it is huge, and I want to show you around some of the different vehicles that are on display here and show you a little bit of the influence of how perhaps sanctions are affecting the heavy vehicle industry, or maybe they're not affecting the industry. There is a heck of a lot of people here. The actual expo itself is held over 11 different halls, and I think the truck part of it is 4 different indoor halls and then a huge outdoor section. And there is a lot to see and a lot to take in. We see here Maz, which is very well known and very famous from Belarus. Now I will jump around a little bit with the different companies and show you some pretty impressive trucks. Now the whole commercial vehicle side of it is not necessarily about the trucks physically. It's about the cargo, or the things like the trailers and the things that get towed behind trucks. Or you'll see here on the right hand side the additional things they can add on to the trucks, like these lifts and cages. So there is an element of the actual truck companies themselves being here, and then the third-party companies that produce the accessories for trucks as well. So the main point of the video is not necessarily my knowledge of trucks. It's really to show you what's on display here and what's available in the Russian market. So if I've made some errors, please correct me in the comments or put a timestamp and perhaps what I've misexplained. But I'll do my best to show you and highlight the trucking industry here in Russia. One thing I always find interesting, and it gets a little bit confusing as you walk around, there is quite a lot of the companies with names that are initials of the company. So here is Gaz, and then the Belarus company is Maz. And this particular truck right here has the flame on the side because it's LNG. Now most people would know that around the world. In Russia they call it CNG. It's basically the same thing, just the way they word it and letter it. You can actually see the tanks here on the side. They also have a bus on display as well. Most of the buses you see in Moscow are Russian produced. You don't see too many of the Belarus ones. So it's really interesting to see one up close and be able to go inside, walk around. It's really very fascinating at the front of the main hall here with all the indoor displays. They've got the largest companies up front. So Gaz, now their actual trucks, or their branding, is called Valdai, and I tend to know them as also Gazelle, which references some of their minibuses, which they have lots of their stuff here. So there is a lot of people at this expo. You just don't see it as much in a video about a specific topic because there is thousands of people across the entire expo. No matter where you're walking, there's somebody looking up close. There is also a rubbish truck here, and this is very modern looking because this is actually electric rubbish trucks. And I don't think it comes built with the television on the side, but it's showing the actual truck itself and all the different features. Of course, the back section we know very well, but what most people want to see is this front cab and then the electric batteries that are underneath right here. So there is actually quite a few different Russian brands that are on show, and this one is Baza, and it's actually manufactured in St. Petersburg, and they have a couple of different trucks on show. There's one here without the rear attachments. I'm not sure what you call them, and they've actually got some mirrors so you can see the underneath of the truck as well. And it's not until you get up close that you'd realize just how big they are and how overpowering they look next to some of the other brands. And also the fact that they've got the off-road tires and the suspension, and they're designed really for going beyond normal roads in Russia. Have a look at the size of this dump truck. These are absolute beasts of trucks. Even just getting the spare tire down would be a bit of a mission. They have another variation of their trucks on display, and this one actually has the cab on top with seating, so it can be used as a transporter for employees to remote areas. Just the ground clearance alone is impressive. If you look at the lady here on the left, and then the axles and suspension. Stepping inside, it's almost got that luxury bus feel to it. Full air conditioning, plenty of storage, and some very comfy chairs. I took the bus here today and my bus was not this comfy. I just noticed the Turkish flag on display here, and they've got a company that's displaying tankers, and the primary use for them is transporting cement and asphalt. And then they also have some others that are not on display that are for petrol transportation. And these are made in a city in Turkey. It's really interesting to see Turkish companies on display here. Not everything can be made in Russia, so they have to utilize other countries' companies for the specialist machines like you see. There is a well-known Western brand on display here, Daewoo. And my knowledge really of vehicles and trucks is really only extended to all the Western brands that I'd be used to seeing on the roads in Australia or in America or in other countries. And then when you come to Russia, there is hundreds of brands that are on show. So the actual Daewoo trucks themselves that you see here on display, they're coming from South Korea, and then to Russia, and eventually to Moscow. And there is also a equipment add-on to the trucks that they're showing as well, called Stylus. So they make the actual booms here. These are actually concrete booms that perhaps they could use with the Turkish tankers on the other side. So if you know the brand Daewoo, please let me know. They've only got one on display. They've got plenty of staff and a catalogue of different trucks. And the lady said that there is no problems with this company being here in Russia and importing them So perhaps sanctions are not affecting this particular brand. I will get back to the trucks in just a minute. There is actually the Gazelle brand here, and the bus that I caught today was a Gazelle, and this is the more luxurious version. It's a little bit dark inside. The gentleman said that it's the tourist edition. It's not for us locals. And the Marshrutka, which is the name of the bus that I catch, is a whole lot different to the new models that they're releasing now. And now we step into the next hall, and a lot of emphasis on the different Chinese brands. This is JAC, or JAC, as it says right on the front there. As I can hear somebody playing the Titanic theme in the background. And they've got some very large trucks also. And of course, they also make vehicles as well. I'm fairly sure this brand is in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. If somebody can correct me, if they've got JAC trucks where they live. They've got a very large display right here, which it wraps around this entire front section. And also they're showing their facilities. The K7. This is absolutely massive. Everywhere you walk, when you go through the different halls, they've got lots of different things to entice you. So you'll see here the ladies in front of the trucks, and then the particular lady over here playing the harp and playing a little bit of Titanic. I'm really not sure what the reference is. She's got a strap-on harp, of all things, and this is Citrak. And they've got a lot of the different trucks on display. So the idea by bringing different models is it's showing the different possibilities of the trucks and the different cabs, and then the different trailer accessories that they can add on the back of them at the same time. You can see here the dump truck option on this one. So this is really where we stepped out of the Russian hall and into the Chinese hall. I've been to this expo center many times. If you are a follower of the channel, I've done a lot of different videos here showing different things that are going on. This is Photon. We've actually got the front of the cab open, so we can see some of the parts. And then lots of people like to get inside them and climb around. There is one of the delivery truck versions. It's really interesting. They give you the demonstration and show you all the different features. Actually, this is a refrigerated version. I wonder if Carrier is in Russia officially. Now, of course, the trucks themselves are Chinese, but then all of the different components that make up the truck are what's necessary depending on what you're going to use it for. It really becomes a bit of an overload of your senses as you walk around further, because you're trying to take in all the different brands as you walk through each booth, and then try to understand what it is that they're showing and the different versions of the vehicles. So you can see here Photon, and then the brand Citrak, and then Don Fuang. This is what we need. And we need the ice creams. We're not here for the trucks. We come to have an ice cream. Oh, the most important thing. when you come to buy a truck, that they look after you and serve you an ice cream. Where you're seeing a lot of the different trucks and a lot of the different accessories or add-ons to the trucks. So for instance, this Photon truck is made in China, and then they're imported to Russia. Basically the cab and then the base. And then this is actually a petrol tanker add-on, which is built and finished in Nizhny Novgorod. So this particular part of the truck is Russian, but the main part of the truck is Chinese. It's really interesting to see the amount of companies that are displaying not specifically the trucks, but all of the add-ons that you can put onto the trucks. So I hope my mum is watching this video, because I did a video call with her when I was in the center of Moscow last week, and one of the water sprayers were driving down the road, and there's one on display here. So again, Photon truck, but then the Russian component is the water tanker at the back here. There's also a sweeper or cleaning brush underneath as well. And my mum was just fascinated when I showed her the trucks going in formation down the road, which are basically cooling down the roads on hot days, and they're also cleaning the roads to an extent, but they don't do the greatest job, where they squirt a lot of water everywhere and we all feel much cooler for it. Photon also have some vehicles here, and there's a pickup truck, or in Australia we'd call this a ute, and a very beautiful lady tempting me to get closer to the truck and have a look around. And this is the Tunland V9, and there's also a G9 as well. Now, I do wonder if these are for sale in Australia. If anybody can let me know, it would be super nice. These look like the Toyota or Nissan pickup trucks in the look of them. Very glossy wheels and rims on them. Of course, by far the biggest truck producer in Russia is COMvez. Now, there is a few different divisions of COMvez. This particular part where I'm showing here is called COMvez Compass, and they have the factory that is producing these trucks, and there is different parts of the truck that aren't locally manufactured and assembled. So the actual truck itself is assembled at the COMvez factory. Now, if we come around the corner here, and hopefully the volume isn't too loud, we'll actually see, if we look closely, the lettering of Jack right here. So the actual platform, or the main base of the truck, is a Chinese Jack base. The actual engine that they're putting in it is a Cummins engine, which is an American company. And then the cab and the rest of the truck is Russian. Basically built, assembled, painted and welded. And then they're using a different Russian company for this back dump truck part. So there is a lot of collaboration in one truck, and it's almost hard to wrap your head around it. And then when you look a little bit closer, and then you see the Chinese influence in the trucks, this is probably one of the most recognizable trucks that you see on the roads throughout all of Russia, this dual cab version. And then they've got the, is it a nylon or a the actual cover at the back? You see these everywhere in Russia, used by the local administrations. And again, this Jack base I think they should just put a sticker over it, but it's freely on display and you're completely able to have a look around the actual trucks themselves and understand what it is that you're buying, and you can understand where they're made and what they're made from. In a past video I got lots of comments when I pointed out people doing selfies, and today it's no different. As I'm walking around, lots of people want photos with the different vehicles and different trucks. This is FAW, the brand J6P. I'm always curious how they get everything here. I mean, quite literally they probably just drive them here and they get special permits for them to be on the road. And I wonder, are they bringing them from local dealers, or are they bringing them directly from places like China where these companies are based, and particularly with new models that don't exist. 6x4, and they've got on the big sticker on the door. And I think perhaps another LNG truck by the tanks right on the side there. What I am very curious to read in the comments is, are all of these companies for sale or available in other countries around the world beyond Russia? Or is this a one-off thing where so many Chinese brands are slowly coming into the Russian market? It's very interesting to know. These refrigerated trucks, you see these on the road everywhere in Russia, particularly because of the fact they're more practical for smaller towns. The FAW brand, has anybody heard about it? As I've been walking around, there is a lot of companies that are manufacturing the things that are adding onto trucks, and they've got this very big low-ride trailer here, and it's literally inches off the ground, and this is absolutely massive how big it is and how low it is also. And the actual company is called Moosburger, and on a little bit further investigation, it's a German company that has a subsidiary here in Russia that makes and assembles these trailers here in Russia, not too far out from St. Petersburg. And they've got a standalone factory that's producing them for domestic sale and then for export. So if there's anybody in the trucking industry and you know this company, they're only focusing on the trailers. I think in America they like to call them tractor trailers. So let me know if I'm using the right or wrong word, and all of the different types of trailers at the same time. This particular one right by the entrance here, it's just so impressive to see it close up. There is more Chinese companies as I walk around. Here is one called Shakman, and I will actually walk in the outside area at some point and show a few more of these. They've got a few inside and then quite a lot of them outside. There is an entire parking lot of vehicles and heavy machinery on display. Is Shakman perhaps the basketball player? I think perhaps not. Then on the other side, they've got Uraman, and in reference to the Urals. However, the company is close to Samara, And this is a collaboration with a Russian assembly with Chinese parts. And there is some Russian localization. It's a matter of looking closely though and trying to find which parts are Russian and which are Chinese. Really interesting how close you can get to them when there's no cab on the back or trailer. You can get as close as you like and you can try to understand what they're doing and what they're building. Lots of interest. It's really interesting as I walk around to see the different companies on display and the amount of interest that's being shown in different brands that are on display here. There is, of course, a lot of people here who are coming to do business. This is not open to the public. The actual tickets for this event are quite expensive compared to other expos that you can come to. So a lot of people are coming here specifically to find business partners or find new products. This is FAW, and what they're really showing is the add-ons, so the things like the crane attachment on the side, the flatbed truck at the back, and then the platform of the truck is what they're advertising essentially. Over here they've got another Shakman, but it's got all of the winter accessories on it. These snowplow parts. Pretty serious bits of kit when you get up close to them, and what they're actually attaching onto the side of them and how it differs so greatly from what I'd see on the road in Australia. One thing that I really do like when you come to these expos, and it's very interesting, you can actually listen to the guys or ladies that come from the factory where they're making the trucks, and they're talking about some of the different unique features about them and what sets them apart. Now this particular one here is one of the high axle or high platform trucks. You can see how much higher it is versus the low ride trailer that we saw previously, and just so much interest about the automotive industry. And then over here there is a Chinese guy. There was actually two of them before, and actually here is the second one, and they're coming for a walk around a Chinese truck. They'll be from another company, and they come to look at some of the fine details of this truck, even just some of the very technical parts that consumers like ourselves, we wouldn't think of. He's taking a photo of the handle of one of the storage boxes on the side. So on one hand you've got all of the people learning about the truck, and then over here the Chinese who come to Moscow as part of the expo, coming to look at other Chinese trucks. The one truck I do want to show you, and it's a little bit mysterious in a way, and there isn't anybody here talking about it. There is a stand with flyers, but this is one of the collaborations with Yandex, and this is actually an autonomous truck. And they have actually got this on trial on some of the highways in Russia right now. Whether this is the specific one that you see in a lot of the stories about it, but you can see all of the different cameras, and I think they're called LiDAR cameras. There's one right there on the front, and it's got the cameras on the side, and then on that crossbar at the top there's a whole series of them. And the idea is, at some point, there will be autonomous trucks on the road, Now, the one that they're showing that's in operation in Russia right now actually has people sitting in the cab of the truck, but they're not actually controlling it directly. They're able to jump in and override it, but it can literally ride on the road without somebody actually operating it physically. It's really very interesting. It's actually got the full normal number plates on it. There's even a couple of other cameras that are up on the dash right there. So I think they're using this as their test truck. It is their autonomous truck somewhere else in the world. I'm very curious. I don't think this would work in Australia, but perhaps in other countries it could. I always forget to give everybody a reminder about how long my videos tend to be, and I hope you're enjoying this walk around. I've been to this expo 2 days now, making different videos, so depending on when you're watching this one, there might be one before or after this particular one. And it's very interesting, actually, even just to chat to some of the people that are here and people that have come to visit this and what their reason is to come. I met some very interesting young students from one of the local universities who came as part of their school classes that they're doing to come and understand some of the engineering that goes into the manufacturing of the trucks. And at some point down the line, they will work at the factories here in Russia or perhaps abroad. Just so interesting to talk to the young guys and girls that were here to get their perspective of this event, because of course they're quite young and they've grown up knowing about Russian brands, and they're now the very big influence of Chinese brands and products from other countries that are slowly inching their way into the Russian market. There is actually a company here called Euro Truck, and this is a dealership that's here in Russia. It's not actually in Moscow, it's in another region, and they've got a couple of very interesting, very imported trucks. This Mercedes Actros L, very nice looking truck, looking very modern. And then there is a Scania Frost Edition, got LED lights in the dash right there, 770S. So if anybody knows these trucks, please let me know. And these are dealerships that are bringing these into Russia and then selling them domestically. This Mercedes-Benz truck, 1952, it has on the door right there. Very nice. As opposed to almost all of the companies that I've shown, which are the manufacturers or the resellers or the distributors of them here in Russia, this company is more like a dealership that's selling specifically European trucks. There's a Volvo and a MAN truck as well. What do you think of the purple color? This is the Volvo 780 XXL. And again, just like me, somebody walking around making the video of them as well. And of course, all around the entire world, these brands are very well known. But yet when we come to an expo like this, it's such a tiny percentage of the whole expo as a whole. Very nice looking trucks. All the stickers, all of the labels, just like I'm showing on the Chinese trucks. You can get in them, you can press some buttons, you can do everything but start them. So I had to be corrected by one of the gentlemen here, and I was thinking that they're all German, and Scania is from Sweden. And then of course Mercedes from Germany. I really want to Google Actros L now and see how much of a new model this is and whether it's available around the world beyond Moscow. For the last part of the video, I thought I'd come for a walk outside, and they've got quite a few trucks on display here. There is Howwow, and then Citroën, and a few different brands all the way down this right-hand side. And this is actually the front car park of CTT Expo Center. And the entire front part of the buildings is taken up by a heavy machinery expo, which is part of CTT Moscow as well. I think the staff that are outside are probably getting the short end of the straw today. It's currently 29 Celsius here in Moscow, so it's absolutely beautiful weather. Maybe too nice to be walking around looking at the trucks on display. What they've done with all the outside trucks here is they've got the platform of the trucks, and then they've got the different added on parts at the back. So there's a couple of different cement mixers that they've got displayed here. Of course, the very classic dump trucks, which are so heavily used in Russia, and then the different platforms or different companies that are manufacturing the add-ons to the trucks. There's some guys coming to look a little bit closely at them. There's even guys with tape measures checking over some of the other models. I'm not sure if that's allowed. I guess it is. I just find it quite fascinating that there's Chinese guys coming to look at other Chinese trucks. Maybe in China it's frowned upon that you can't go and have a look at the competing brand on display. What they've also got outside here is a lot of the trailers and different manufacturers of the parts involved in the trucking industry. I just noticed as I was walking by Sotrans, and there's actually a kangaroo as their logo. That's really interesting. Outside here it's not quite as busy as it is inside. I think a lot more people prefer the air-conditioned buildings to wandering around the trucks outside here in the heat. Because when you get a 29-degree day in Moscow, it's more like 39 degrees. It's probably hard to tell just from me walking around for a few seconds here, but they've got all of the heavy machinery companies with their displays and cranes and different types of machinery for construction, building, manufacturing, mining. And there is, I'd say, a few thousand different machines on display in the front car park of the Expo Center. There's a company here called Beeden Truck, and I think this is a Chinese truck platform. However, the bit that they want everybody to see is this back section of the truck, or the added on component. It's not raining, but I guess umbrellas are needed when it's so warm today. But this is more like a mobile workshop. So there's the little crane at the back right there, and then there's cab and tool storage, and there's a small workshop inside. There's a grinder and a vise. Super interesting. I'm going to walk right in front of everybody here. And there's actually seating inside, or a little break room. This would really be more like a mobile workshop for maybe a construction company. And there's some very interesting people trying to learn about them and wonder how they can be utilized into their business. Despite me showing so many foreign companies and international brands, and that was really what I intended to show and hopefully show on this video. I want to end the video showing COMvex and a few of their trucks. There is actually Isuzu parked just opposite as well. But this very famous orange colored truck right here that you'll see on roads across the entire Russian Federation. These are one of the sweeping trucks that they've got it set up as. And these are Russian manufactured trucks. One here with the crane on the side. This is really interesting. I walked past this when I first got here today. So there's the little baby Isuzu trucks here on the left. They're really like little miniature trucks. And the actual guy standing here is taller than this truck. So have a look at this thing right here. We need a little child for scale. And then have a look at this bad boy right here. This is absolutely massive. And it absolutely dwarfs the Isuzu. I wish they were parked immediately next to each other, because I don't think I can even show the scale as a couple of people go walking by. It is absolutely massive. And the reinforced undercarriage right there. And these big off-road tires. It's really a piece of work. And if there's anything to be proud of, if you're Russian, it's this brand. Perhaps outside of Russia, I think it might be more known for winning multiple times the Dakar Rally in the off-road categories. They've got another one here. So the gentleman's not even up to the lights when he stands alongside it. So it's really very large. There's even a platform to get inside the cab as well. So I think in terms of Russian brands, we know Lada and we know COMvex, and they're the most recognizable Russian brands by a long way, and I think it's an appropriate way to end the video showing them as I've walked around today. As I come to the end of the video today and this walk around of the CTT Expo here in Crocus City. So there is actually the Expo Center, there is actually the shopping center, there is a huge territory where we are. They only use this outside area once a year for this event, and companies can bring absolutely everything they like and put it on display. And I hope this was an interesting walk around showing some of the Russian companies, some of the European companies, and then of course a lot of Chinese companies as well. There is a lot of people walking outside here. Everyone's going to be nicely barbecued by the time they get to the end of the day. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments what you think. Did you recognize any of the brands? Are some of them very commonly available in the country where you live? It'll be interesting to know. I just had to walk past one of the stands with a lot of music playing. YouTube isn't a fan of music, and I just wanted to be a little bit cautious. It's a bit quieter now. All we hear is the noise of the main highway alongside where we are here. I was trying to come up with a secret word for the video, and I think the best I can come up with is Jack. Now, I actually want to thank the people at the Jack Motors stand for giving me some chocolates and keeping me full of sugar and energy for the walk around today. So if we see the word Jack in the comments, either JAC or perhaps with a K at the end, I know you've made it to the last part of the video. I've got a couple of chocolates for the train ride home in a little while. If you'd like to follow my Telegram channel, there's a link right here. You can join me in the chat where I'm always online, whether I'm out on the road or at home. And if you want to watch an old video, click this link. You can keep traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.